my daughter was involved in a car accident.
Hey.
So I've had quite a...
Is she okay?
That was quite a mouthful.
Is she alright?
Yeah, she's okay, but she hit somebody. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Tough base, but Sivan and Samech Tes were in Samech Tes from the Rebbe Rishav Ahmed Lamed Ches.
Right, so we saw the union of the Slabsha Seres Bekalim in Atzilus was made possible by the parsa between Erin Sefer Ma'atzil v. Aner Tzolim. And we saw that more V'diktuk, there were really two parsoes. There was a parsa between Chochmat Atik, in other words, the Pechina Taktoina Sheba Ma'atzil, and Chochmat Stimor, and then we saw there was further parts from Chochmat Stimor to Chochmat Atzilas. However, the Hagbola through those two parsoes made it possible for the Hashpoah into Esesphiras by way of the Slabshas of the areas indicated. Now we saw that there were really two inyonim. Also, what's with Levi Yosef's not here, no? However, we saw that there were two factors in that. We saw, first of all, there was a tzimtzum, but we saw that the tzimtzum was only b'pchinas miut bilvad, and the ikke oil, which is able to be actually mislavish in the kelim, is through the hashpoah of the parsa. What's mashma that just tzimtzum on its own wouldn't have been enough, and just the parsa bilvad also wouldn't have been enough. However, the ikke, what we might call bringing the earth to such a limited madrega that it's able to enter the kelim is b'ikar from the parsa. Zeu inyan shem elikim shebepinus hakeser lahastir ha'oyer achemeshikosu v'yadata hayoyim v'hashivesel v'velcha ki havaya hu ha'elikim v'shamayim mima v'yalho oretz mitochas einoi. That's the pasuk in Dvarim, in Pasha Veschanan, we say every day at the end of the first portion of Aleinu, v'shabeach v'yadata hayoyim, and you should bring it into your heart that Havaya hu Elikim, that the Shem Havaya is the same meaning as the Shem Elikim. B'shamayim mimal, in the heavens above, v'yal ha'oretz mitochas, that's true in both of those levels. Ein oid, there's nothing else apart from him. In other words, that the understanding of how Havaya and Elokim are all united, and they're really one in Havaya hu Elokim, well, that brings you to the ultimate hasoga of Ein oid. They say you come to the conclusion that Ein oid. So the Alter Rebbe over there, the whole Shara Yichud Vamun is based on that pasuk, as is well known, and he brings at the beginning of the Alter Rebbe the kasha. Why did it need to be written b'shamayim mimal v'ha'oretz mitochas? It would have been just enough to say v'yadata hayoyim ki havaya elokim ein oid. Why did they have to say b'shamayim mimal v'ha'oretz mitochas? And he asked over there the very interesting shayla that you would have thought there's some other inyan in Elikus in the water underneath the earth, or something that you have to dafke be shayla of that. Because that's if we learn the pasuk in a simple sense, that the Eibishter, he is the Elokim, he's the only deity, as it were, both b'shamayim mimal v'ha'oretz mitochas. And if you learn like that, then it would tend to be implying that maybe there might have been something in the Shemayim Mama or Al Chaponim in the Oretz mitochas, and he's telling you that there's nothing, only the Eibishter, only the Shem Havaya. So the Alter Rebbe said, if you learn that, why did he ask that child what the Pasuk needed to tell me such an obvious thing? And therefore he learns, like we learn here, that the Pshat is not just that Hashem is the Eibishter. No, the Pshat is that Havaya and Elokim Kula, the Havaya, who Elokim. Those are the Pshat in the Pasuk. Amamer Elafizeh asks us all to show, why doesn't it be written B'Shamayim Mimav or it's Mitochas? Eino Chanami, there's no kashir of a kilo beis Chiddush yesh b'zeh, the movement. If Havaya, the Shem Havaya, what's the Avis is essential name, the Shem Ha'etzem, and the Shem Elokim, they are one Inyan, and that's a Chiddush Nifla b'fnei Atzmei, but there's absolutely no doubt that the Shemayim and the Oretz are not a Metzias b'fnei Atzmei, they could have any special Inyan of Gilui Elokus on their own. You know, obviously they're just called in everything which is from the Shem Havaya. And therefore, here the Rebbe teaches, and he gives a rather interesting diktuk in the Loshen, and he says like the Havaya of Elokim are both of them talking about Elokus al Tzlamayla from the Esser Spheres. In other words, Etzem Elokus Tzlamayla from the Staushlas of the Esser Spheres, and that's in the Inyan of the Shem Havaya. And that's in the Madrega of Keser. That the Shem Havaya is connected with the Inyan of Keser, in the sense that Shem Havaya is what we call the Shem HaEtzem. It's the name of the Eibishter's Etzem, how he is beyond all the Gilui of the Spheres. And that's what we find, that sometimes the Shem Havaya is connected with the Spheres. Well, that's what we call the Shem Havaya de la Tato. That's the lower level in the Shem Havaya, which shot to the Protea Sphere. But the Etzem Pshitas of the word Havaya, that's the Eibishter's name, Kamoshe Hu. Elamayla Mikol Spheres, Elamayla Mikol Gebolas of the element. And that's Klolis Madregas HaKeser. And that's the Inyan of the Shem Havaya. And that's called Shamayim Mimal, because Shamayim B'chlal means the higher Oilamas. Yeah, and Mishamayim Mimal, in Shamayim Gufa, above the Shamayim Lutzui, well, that's referring to Keser. So therefore, the Shem Havaya and Shamayim Mimal are the Inyan from Keser. So he says that what the Pasuk is telling me, that even in Keser, even in Shamayim Mimal, even in the Olam Haki Elyonim, together with the Shem Havaya, that's the Shem HaEtzem, there's also over there a Shem Elokim. Even in that Madrega of Keser, there's also a level of Shem Elokim. And those are the Pshatkim, B'Shamayim Havaya Elokim, B'Shamayim Mimal V'Oretz Mitochas, that there's a Elokim which is one thing within the Shem Havaya, Afilu B'Madrega Hazu. So we should do it. So he says, that he said that Inyan that you should know. That there's a Elokim, in the Inyan from Keser, that's connected with this Inyan of the Parsa that we just saw, and that's about what he's now to explain. That in the Inyan of Keser itself, there's a koyach lahastir ho'er. Because of Yodata Hayyim, Ki Havaya Hu Elokim, that there's a Havaya and Elokim, and basically they're the same Inyan, B'Shamayim Mimal. So what's the Chiddush? Shegam B'Shamayim Mimal, Yesh B'Chinus Elokim HaMastir, that even in that Madrega there's also a Shem Elokim HaMastir, Shehu Inyan Aparsa. In other words, that apart from the fact that Havaya of Elokim in the final Maskona, they're all hard, they're all one Inyan, although in Golui, their function is like two Inyanim. One is Gilui Mamish, Li Sefer B'li Hagabolo, that's the Shem Havaya, and the Inyan, the Shem Elokim was always a Inyan from Dinver, Tzimtzum or Helem. So the Rebbe said, even in Keser, even in B'Shamayim Mimal, you have a Zakoya, which is Mastir. So ultimately it's the Shem Havaya, like he's Havaya in the famous Maimon, Yodata Hayyim, that's sof kosof, the kavan of the Shem Havaya, and that brings all the readers which make possible eventually the Gilui Hashem Havaya Lamata. First of all, you have to have a Lamata, and first of all, you have to have all the Inyanim, and that comes through the Inyan of Elokim. So he said, even in Shamayim Memal, even in the Shorosh of everything, which is in Keser, you also have Havaya and Elokim. You have Hashem Elokim, which his function, Begolu, is to be Mastir, and that's our parcel that we learned about. In other words, between Atik, which is Pnimis HaKeser, and Chokmah Da'atzilut, there's a parcel. Because Yochel is Gilui Ha'ora Mi'atzilut Gam Labi. Once you've got the air into Atzilus, and the air has been Mizgala in the Kalim of Atzilus, then eventually it can go through Atzilus into Biyah. And that's the Pshat of Pnimi, Havaya Hu Elokim, that Elokim, Dafki brings to the Yeridas, Kol Elamata Mata, into Biyah. Without that symptom of the Shem Elokim, you couldn't get that Malacha. Only after is already and the Shem Elokim, then it's possible for later to bring the Gilui the Shem Havaya and to say that they're really all one. Of a Bentayim or Begolui, there's the union of the Helem of the Shem Elokim, and that's the parsa. Because Yocheli is Gilui Ha'ora Me'atzilus Gam L'Biyah, and that's the Kavanah Pnimius Shebadov. וזהו שאנו רואים שכאשר בו נשמה אחס ליום למעלה מבחינת הפרגוד של המעציר. All of a sudden, Shalom Aleichem, we go here in the fascinating Indian, the Rebbe said, this is what we see, that if a neshama comes into this world, and where's it coming from? It's coming from למעלה מבחינת הפרגוד של המעציר. It's coming higher than that pass between the Keser and Chokmah Da'atzilut. So it's coming higher than the word Pargod is in Aramic. The pass is also Aramic. Pargod is maybe more or less Kurdish than is Aramic. It also means like a curtain or a partition that keeps the royalty, the commoners and the royal family and everything separate. Paragod's like a separating partition. So he said that there comes a neshama from Lamayla Mi'ah Paragud, and it comes down into the world. Even down here in this world, it's in an even from Bittul B'Matzias. It doesn't feel itself cloud. It only feels Mamish Elakus, how it is in Keser. It goes completely out of the whole gather of the union of Ishtaushlas, of Ishlapshus, Eres Bekelim. In other words, how does Ishtaushlas occur? Because the Eres go down through a Seder of revelation of Eres in Kelim. But if he goes out of that whole definitional concept of Ishlapshus, Eres Bekelim, then he's not charged to him Ishtaushlas, but Ein Lo Ishyashvus La Lamata, and it's not able to really sit here comfortably Lamata, because to be here Lamata, you've got to be somehow or another connected with all the readers and all the Ishtaushlas which brought things about down here. But if you're down here in such a way that the Ura Lamayla Mi'ah Paragud is made into you, then you don't know what to do. You don't know how to find yourself down here. And that's what we see, that some of the great tzaddikim were not able to have any real Yashvas, Klal B'zeh Ho'ilam. So right from the very early point in the Chumash, he brings you a dogma from Chanoich. Kamoi Chanoich, what is written, Dixi boy Vayisalech Chanoich es Ho'elikim V'yeinenu, as they state in the Pasuk, that Chanoich went to get us in the middle of where it's telling all the people who were born out from Adam Arishan. They said this one was born, he lived for so many years, and then he passed away, and he had so many children, and then they lived for so many years, and they passed away, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden it's written that Lemech, he gave birth to Chanoich, and then it's written, Vayisalech Chanoich es Elokim, Chanoich went very much together with the Eibishter, Yisalech Chanoich es Elokim, Veinenu, and he's just not there anymore, Veinenu. And it's not written like all the others that he had children, he passed away, and then the Seder all of a sudden changes, and it just says that he went with the Eibishter, Elokim, he was bottled and toffel. Yeah, to the Eibishter of Einenu, he just wasn't there. Teach the Rebbe. What does that mean to say? Ein shenikvol is battle b'chinas ayin hoa amiti. In other words, well, teach Einenu, he's not there. That he just became bottled and nikvol in the ayin. As a matter, Einenu is like a word describing where he was. Yeah, he was just in the ayin amiti. And he was bald, he was in the ayin amiti. Well, that's the oil of the Atzmas, that's the Gilui, Mamish Mina Atzmas, and that's a long time even before the Ayin of the Yesha. And even there's a Mamish Gilui Elakus, yeah, even Maki for Sefer for Hilo. Einenu, he just got involved in the Emes of Ayin, and therefore he couldn't see him anymore. He just wasn't there.
Don't you say in Tofresh Chof Tes on that he
Tofresh Chof Tes?
Yeah, that he became Malach Matat?
Yeah, there's another Malach. The Emes, yeah. It's put down that he became a Malach Matat. Then that's what we're going to bring when I get to Eliyahu. What it means to say is he just went up and he became Botel Gamri in Elakus. Malach Matat's a very high Madraga. Malach Matat is the Shar of Elam Habriya, according to certain Pirushim. Yeah.
But didn't we say before that this thing... That
Rashi brings him down in Pasha Mishpat.
That
Rashi calls him Matat, right? He's not supposed to say the full name. Yeah.
Didn't we say before that the Ayin Amiti, that it's this light that Hashem didn't create for anybody's purpose? That it's not that no one gets benefit from it? The Ayin Amiti.
The Ayin Amiti? The Ayin Amiti is Lagamri Lamaila Me'a'ilam altogether. The Ayin Amiti is the Sefer of Kolam. That's the Gilui of the Atzmas. The Oyer is Miskalim in the Atzmas. The Ayin Shel Yesh Anivu, that's already the Ayin which is the Shur of the Yesh. The Ayin which is correct to the Yesh. So what the Rebbe is teaching is that Ve'einenu, he became part of the Ayin. Pirush, he was bottled with Niklal in the Ayin Ho'amiti. In other words, the Ayin how it is Lamaila Me'an Nivroim. Because if he would have been bottled in the Ayin which is Shai to the Nivroim, he wouldn't necessarily have gone completely away. He might have become very bottled Telakus. He might have become a lot more of a tzaddik than he was, or Chuli might have done miraculous things, or who knows what. Over here, he just went away. I mean, he just was no longer here. You follow? He just went up into a madrega of non-existent of I. Therefore, it's a very fascinating touch. The Rebbe touches Einenu, he was part of the I. So this is a very fascinating business with this Indian of Chanoich. And the very famous Rashi over there, which you guys are not, I mean, you could be familiar with the Rashi. Rashi says over there that Chanoich was tremendously great tzaddik, and he says, "V'kal hoyo be'einav lachte," or kal hoyo sheyove lachte. It was easy that he might come to sin, and therefore, v'lochoch you say, that's it. Ve'einenu, ki lochoch say Elokim. The Eivsa took him away, as they state that. Ki ve'einenu, because the Eivsa took him. So Rashi says that he took him because kal hoyo boy lachtoi. It was korev to this, and therefore the Eivsa took him away before he would be chayte, because he was such a complete tzaddik that the Eivsa didn't want he should have any cholila, any negative inyan, so the Eivsa took him away. And as a taiche neinu, he just became out. So here we see, so the one of the great earlier, I forget what it was, he said that Rashi's going to have to he's going to have to work out an apology with Chanoich. You know, how can he possibly say about Chanoich? But Karl Hoyo, laughed at it. It was easy for him to sin. Yeah, how can you say such a thing about as a person wie Chanoich, as I'm in Sotach, Karl Hoyo laughed to him. and therefore you had to take him away. Shema, maybe he might sin. They don't want any spots on him. And so other great people also say that Rashi, being rather hard on Chanei, particularly in the light of what's written in the Pesukim, it's that he was an amazingly great tzaddik. Ve'inenu. So some people say that Rashi didn't mean cholila, that it was easy for him to sin. Aber that kal hoya be'eno, kal hoya etzloi lachtoi, that he was of the opinion that it was so bottled telakuz, that if we're in this world and there's the slightest little movement that you might make, and it could be, it's not really lafi. The embassy covered of the Eivishter, but remember, so they that if our kal hoya be'eno of lachtoi, he considered it was very easy to sin. Because he held that any little movement that wasn't mamish bottled as a beetle, that's a sin. You guys have to joke, or it's not a joke. I mean, as they learn, say in Rashi. So I can see that these Shabbos Chayshas are really not such a very brilliant idea. First of all, we don't get anybody listens, nobody comes back on time. And Shaitan says, those who do come back, they seem to be either in Oil Ma'asiyah or in Oil Ma'asiyah Hataktiyas. Oil Ma'asiyah, one way or another, they don't see the chapel, the jokes and all the ramazim and all the yonim. So some people learn kal hoya lachtoi, that for him anything was a chait. And therefore the Eivshter took away. The Eivshter said, this world's not for him, b'klal. That's how they answer Rashi. That cholila, Rashi didn't mean to be pogeya in the COVID of Chanoi kal hoya lachtoi. He's very easy for him to sin, wasn't it? The Fataitan, they kal hoya be'eno of lachtoi. Anyway, that it depends where you put the Ike Adgosha in the Potsi. That Rashi puts the Ike emphasis on Locha Chaysay Elakim. The Eivshter took him away. And if the Eivshter took him away, to understand that he's no longer there. I mean, all the Potsi just means that because the Eivshter took him, he just didn't die the normal way. It wasn't a normal funeral. He just was taken off. Or the Ike was what the Eivshter took him. Ki, Locha Chaysay Elakim. So the Rashi said, why would the Eivshter take a man away like that? Would you do it? Yeah, because he's such a great person. And the Rashi says, Abir. Here we're putting the Ike not on the Locha Chaysay Elakim. Here we're saying that Ein Nu. It's a Chanayit. Why did he all of a sudden cease to be around? He just became Nikkel in the Ein Elo. Ki Amiti, the Amiti is Ein Elo, because if you get up in that madrega, you're not around here anymore. It's not here. Right? Completely bottled by Metzi is not just mitad herigish aveda, and the bottled by Metzi keeps shooting man. And if touch the river, and it's going to be important for later on, touch the river, that he became invisible and unpresent in the world because of his being bottled v'niklau in this madrega of what we would call, for all purposes, Seivev call. In other words, higher than the whole Shersha, the Nivroim, the Ayin, how it is mitzad das Eliyah. V'hainu, the Kemoye Shehoya Lamato Oya B'Pinas Bittul B'Metzias Mamish, that the way he was here Lamata, he was in a state of Bittul B'Metzias. Ad Sheniklau V'Nisalo Lagamri B'Pinas Ayin. In other words, it was like a further stage in his amazing Aveda. First of all, his Aveda was such that he was mamish bottled b'metzias. Not just he felt the idea on his little finger of what bottled b'metzias was, but his whole metzias was talking bottled b'metzias. The Rebbe said for a person like that to go any higher means that he just passes out of the world altogether. He no longer is present in this world. Nisalo, and he just went up. How do you call it? Lamaila. In other words, if we wanted to wake you guys up, we could use an expression, but I doubt if it would help. Therefore, we have to go further. So the Rebbe, he was in Nisala, even from Aliyah, B'Pchinas Ha'ayin. Now, it'll fit in with Eliyahu Novi. Okay, Mekain Eliyahu, a similar inu with Eliyahu Hanavi, shoy v'pchinas bitul mamish, and ad she'ola begufoi b'sayro hashomayim, until his body also went up in a sayara l'shamayim. So as is up to Shaila, in reference to Hanoi, we don't stress so much the goof, we just say he was beklal. Yeah, he was absolutely ois, and therefore it's not such a chiddush that he just went up to hold him. I mean, his body, if he wasn't around, then his body also went with him. But the dicta koloshem here on Eliyahu is there was dafki begufay. He went up into heaven, and he went with a sayro. You know, sayro means like the whole big storm and a whole big flame, a big chariot and a whole mile. They always looked at Gansarin how it was by Eliyahu Hanavi, but the inyan of a sayro and a shturim, you know, fire and all sorts of inyanim tend to indicate that something is being consumed. Like, you know, you're burning something, you're being misasik with something to consume it in fire. Ilu by Chanai, he just wasn't there. It's not apparent that there was a big fire or a big sorrow or a big. So therefore, the diuk is put down in many Jewish chassidus, and ultimately in the Iron Base is a huge view over there, that the inyan from Eliyahu Hanavi was that he was as a oived Hashem, that he had to do with the guf bikar. Ike inyone was the bittul v'zichuka hagu. And if he reached a min madrega in his avoida, that his guf was able to go up into Gan Eden. In other words, that the Ike avoida of Eliyahu Hanavi mitzad gufay. Yid is even chanoich. The Ike avoida was mitzad nishmosay. And his neshama was so powerful, he reached such an unbelievable killer, and neshama, that the body and everything was just nickel in zeva, umamela, ein b'zeh chidish kolka. Over Eliyahu, his neshama was from a zala, which is yeshai to the guf. That's yeshai to the inyanim of the oilo. And after became, he was poil, al atzmei, is, if you don't mind, I don't like them on the table even, okay? I don't think they belong anywhere, except in the rubbish basket, if you ask me. It's from what I see what they do to the human existence, but anyway. That Eliyahu, his ikar inyan was bittul hagu. And therefore it's brought down that it was a rash on us, because it's like when you burn something and you consume an entity, then it burns, it makes a fire. So there was still, as it were, what to burn by Eliyahu, and that was like the ultimate indication of his finishing his work, that his body went up in a divine flame. But there was a sort of a flame, a certain chariot, a certain inyan. By Chanai, he just, and they knew he just wasn't there anymore. We see then that the Ika Aveda of Eliyahu was similar to that of Chanai, in the sense that he was able to go up on his own. Believing from Misa and Kuram and the Gansi. Aber Al Chaponi was in a different event. And therefore the Rebbe said he went up just in an event for Nickel in the Ayah. And he says he went up in an infant Syro into the heavens, meaning into Gan Eden. Having to take a goof into Gan Eden, a goof doesn't fit into Gan Eden or Elyon or Gan Eden or Tachte. Well, that was the whole Kiddush. He worked so hard on his body that his body became Ra'ui to be in Gan Eden Elyon. And therefore, Mishum said, he reached the Madrega somewhat of how Adam Arishim was Koidama Achay, that Adam Arishim was in Gan Eden, in Gilui Gan Eden, but with a goof. The goof was in Gan Eden. Eliyahu Hanavi, it reached as Amitzot in. And therefore the Lashon is different. He went up a side or begufay. And that's a Chiddush Nifla by Eliyahu Hanavi. So we see then that once again a very remarkable state, albeit from a different level in Etzem Gilui Nishmosei and Pu'ulas Nishmosei Kan Lamata, but Ha'inyan which didn't require Kavura. They just disappeared and went up into a higher state. They didn't need the whole Inyan of burial Kayetza Vizeh, Ad Kere Kach, that is brought down in Drush Exodus, that's the difference between them and Moshe Rabbeinu. That we do see it's written by him that the Eibishter said, Vayikver Oisei Bagoi, that the Eibishter buried him, Kaviocho, that the Gufish of Moshe Rabbeinu did need to have some sort of a kavura v'chulu. But we're not very far away from the Parsha, where the famous Maimon in Samech Tes in Parsha Chukas. We'll tell you another 2 weeks from now, where the Rebbe Rashab asked the famous Kachia, he said that Moshe Rabbeinu just went up with his goof and his neshama, and he just still alive, because the Gemara says Moshe Rabbeinu loy mate. So he said, how come the Davis to bury him? So he said, we have to say it was only just, like a Marisayan or something like that. And the Rebbe Rashab says, V'shivim panim l'Torah. There are different ways of understanding the Torah. Ad kedika. Yo. I can show it to you. Your eyes can jolt out gesundheit of the state Torah. This is an amazing thing. That's one of, in my opinion, that Maimon is one of the strongest riders to the Mishchustim. The Torah, it's a bullseye. Yeah, the result of it. Says Moshe Rabbeinu didn't pass away. I was observed that. It just appeared that way over Biamas. Other people say differently. Shivim panim lot. Anyway, kakatu. But actually, Lefi Hezbollah, that there was some sort of a kavura by Moshe Rabbeinu, then he was different than Eliyahu, in that his holiness was only the neshama. The guf by Moshe Rabbeinu was killed, not a'inim b'klal. And therefore he just sort of took off his guf and put it away. It's written when he went up onto the heavens to receive the Torah. It's written that Moshe Rabbeinu, he niach his gufay b'elam ha'yitzira. When he got up into elam ha'yitzira, he just took off his body, Moshe Rabbeinu. So it wasn't a new thing by him. What do you do to wake you guys up? They'll say, what do we do to wake you up? That was the end of Mashek and Eliyahu. His Indian was to bring the body to such a point that the body itself would be able to enter Gan. That wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu's Indian. That wasn't his Indian. However, says the Rebbe of Kamoy Cain, another one, Hoya Nishmas Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa. You heard about Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa?
Yes.
Yeah. So Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa was a Tana. He's even mentioned in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avos. She's parallel. Hoya Nochash Koroch al Akevoi. V'loi Hiragish Klalo. The Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa was davening. I assume. And there was a nochash, it was mamish creeping around his heel, and he wasn't aware of cloud, of what was going on, that there was a nochash korach al hakevoi. Now that's a Yerushalmi. Don't get it confused with the famous story in the Bavli. Because the famous story in the Bavli, where it's written in Sector Tainis, wait a minute, Masechta Brachas, I'm sorry, nicht Tainis, it's in Masechta Brachas. Masechta Brachas state that there was once a town that was being terrorized by this terrible snake. There was a snake, a little village, and people couldn't go anywhere near this area because this big poisonous snake would come out and bite people. It had a huge hole, and people were scared to go in that hole when they would touch. So it's written that they came to Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa and asked him to be mispalel, to do something. So it's written that he went out and he put his heel over the hole of the snake. And the snake very indignantly came up and bit him. And it's written that the snake died. Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa was perfectly all right. And the snake died. So Rebbe Chanina ben Doisa picked up the snake and he carried it into the base of Medrash. And he said to him, give a look, guys. He said, I want you, not because I want to show what I achieved. He said, I want to show you that he said, what causes death? He said, is chait. A chait meimis, aber ein anochish meimis. He said, if you've got sin in you, then the anochish can get at you. He said, if you don't have sin in you, then the anochish can't get at you. On the contrary, you cause him to knock off. Right? Also, it stated in the Gemara, it stated in Bavli. But Tori in the Yerushalmi, dort steht ein bisschen anderes, another Meiser. He was down, he once was down, Shemanas, and the cliff to us this thing, quarter, and if I'm not mistaken, dort in the Yerushalmi, it's also written that in the end it bit him, when he moved, it bit him, and the same thing happened, it died, and he said a similar thing. He said, you see from that, it's not the Nochish which caused you to die, it's a chait. Yeah, those are Rabbi Chanina ben Doir. So the Rebbe says, she's Paul, where Kaka. So how can it possibly be? I mean, how can a Nochish Mamish creep around a mensch? And he's davening, no, he doesn't even notice. And it could be that the Rebbe is referring to the Hemshech, that he caused the death of the Nochish, not the Nochish caused his death. וכעת בזה הרבה נשומש שהיו בגין ביטל במציאס ביוסר, they were in this tremendous ביטל במציאס. Now the chiddush of that Maaseh is the Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, he seems to have been in the Madreg of Gan Eden down here Lamata. Chanaik went up into the Ayin Eloki, and it's true what he says, that later became Yitzchak said, later became a Malach Elin, from the really big Malachim, what you might call the controlling Malachim, he became Matat, which is an abbreviation. Actually, he went up going to Eliyahu took his body up into Gan Eden. The Chiddush of Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa is that even though he was down here in this world, beyond, he was mamish in the oilam in a goof metal sting. He was able to affect the world, that all the inyanim which brought to nefila of a yerida in the world, which are the nochas is the shirish. He's the shirish of the whole sin and the whole inyan for yerida. But teicha oilam, Rabbi Chanina ben Tes was able to knock him off instead of him knocking the world off, and he was able to be completely and utterly untouched by him, completely and utterly not nishpoil. Well, not him to be surprised or touched by the fact he was creeping around his and didn't interfere with his devakas. For that we see that there's a chiddush by Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa that he brought that unbelievable beetle of the Ayin Eloki, but he's a Madregas, he brought it Lamata, and Eishu Haya Lamata. The others that we've mentioned, that they had to, as it were, go up into the Shemayim to reach the Shleimus of their Tevekas. And it would appear to Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, the Chiddush is he had it already down here, Lamata. Upon him, those are Tanoim. Now he goes further. Rabbi Ukamoish Nishmas Rabbi Yochanan. Well, this is already talking about an Amor. Rabbi Yochanan was an Amor. He was a later generation than the Tanoim. Yesha Omru Alov Leistein Bar Inesh. Or in the Gemara it's actually written Leistein Bar Nash. That this man, he's not a son of a woman. Leistein Bar Nash. He's not born from humanity. The Amos of Demore Olo, and the fear of his master is upon him. Now I must admit that I don't quite know where that lashon appears. The Amos of Demore Olo, that's a bit of a sort of a chiddush in my eyes. It could be there's also a Yerushalmi, because Rabbi Yochanan, he was a Rosh Yeshiva of the Talmud Yerushalmi. He was a Rosh Yeshiva in Asor. He was a Rosh Yeshiva of the Talmud Yerushalmi. So it could be that that's a sipper from the Yerushalmi. In the Gemara, Masechta Eruvin, it's written that there's a whole discussion about different forms of tumah, about if you make holes in different things, you make it bigger, and you make this, and you make that. If this changes, and it becomes a kli, and it's not a whole discussion about how's the tumah settle on that thing or not. So it's written, Rabbi Yochanan says an amazing combination. He said, if this happens, happens and that happens, then it can talk about. This is not the case, and it does now. It can't become Tommy, and it's an amazing sort of a hut that he knew exactly how these things worked. So never one of the Talmidim in the base of Medrash said about him, Leis Dein Ba Hashem. Rashi says, Ki'im Malach. Rashi puts in the words, Ki'im Malach. And then it's written, Ika Di Amre. There were some others in the base of Medrash that they said, Is Dein Ba Nash. They said, oh yes, this is a man. So Rashi said, this is the emes of man and not an ordinary man. That is the emes, the tachlis of what a man is really supposed to be. Instead of saying, Leis Dein Ba Nash, they said, Is Dein Ba Nash. According to that lotion, that Leis Dein Ba Nash, or Barinish, well, that means to say that Rabbi Yochanan was in the Zamadrega, that you can't describe him as having been born in human terms. He's obviously beyond the whole limitation of the world. V'ein zois, says the Rebbe, Ela shenivka aleim apargud v'apal sheshabin amaytzel l'ner tolim. It has been literally split, for their purposes, or the whole parcel, or the pargud, how do you call it, the curtain, or the partition, with that pargud, between the matzah and the tolim, in other words, the parcel bein, atik le chochmestim, v'hoye mibchinas eir ein sefer matzah, betisves ha'orah. They're showing, the eir ein sefer matzah, in their nishomas, with a much greater ha'orah. V'hainu, שהוי השרש נשמוסה מבחינת עיר אין סייף הסייבר כל העלמין שלמעלה משתלשלס דס הספירס דאצילה. That in their nishomes was the higher state of the prior to its labjus in the pargod or in the parsa. Well, that's mamish עיר אין סייף. Atik, chochmish atik is seiver kol. Yeah, seiver kol almin mamish. I feel arich is also seiver kol almin. So there was mayor in their nishomes, eine von Seivu Koloman, Shalamayla Mishtaus des Fürdatziles, Omamayla, Baif Kose, Hoyula, Lamata. But we saw that there's a Maila in Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, that he remained Lamata. Of Eliyahu and Hanuik, they took that Madrega, that Lamata, and they went with it out of the world. They went up with their Madrega into Lamaila. I knew in and altogether that there was in certain nishomas a gilui of seivev kol, almin, the way they were lamata v'ayin shaloi nitzamtzmu liyei bechinas oires bekelim. They weren't limited by being oires in kelim, or kamosh oyer lamata hoyu gilui bechinas oyer ein seif aseiv hoyu, bechinas gilui oyer ein seif aseiv beli shum tzimtzum. Whoa. And now we're going to go on a little bit further. He's going to bring another nishom. He's going to bring Rabbi Bar Nachmani, and he's going to suggest what he was like. So we see a whole series of different nishomas. And then there's going to be another nishoma that the Rabbi is going to bring also. Forms of nishomas. And so we're going to see that these nishomas that was mayor in them, the Inif and Aseiv called Almin, but they belong in a very special category, which is called, in the Gemara Masechet Sukkah, the Shmoina Nesichei Odo, the 8 princes of the human race. Shmoina Nesichei Odo. In other words, the Gemara says there are Shiva Royim, there are 7, how do you call them, shepherds, and there's Shmoina Nesichei Odo. And you know who the 8 is? You guys, but long know who the 8 Nesichei Odom is?
The Rebbe.
Huh?
The Rebbe.
Melech HaMashiach. He's the 8th one.
Yeah.
So the 8th one is the Rebbe. I'm sorry, my gentlemen. But the 8th one is the Rebbe. What's the difference between him and the Shiva HaRoyim? You know, there was the 3 Oveis, and then there was Moshe Rabbeinu, and who the other Royim over there. There's but another, there was David Amel, I think is one of them. Different. different royim that there was shepherds of the Jewish people. And also they get this point in the Sichei Adam. One of them is Chanoich, one of them is Eliyahu. One of them is Rabbi Chanina ben Doya. We've been dealing with him quite massively here. And then we're going to see that one of them is Melech HaMashiach. So in Torah, the Torah has got a whole section over there in the Drush Chanukah. They talk over there about the 8 lights. The whole Torah has got a whole view over there. What's the difference between the Shmoyne and the Sichei Adam and the Shivas HaRoyim? But the Nakuda is that the Shivas HaRoyim have got Ephes HaShaychas to Pnimius. Their in is to bring everything down into the Elams, to be Moisiv, through the Pnimi, tremendous Gilui, and to be Madrik, their flocks and everything, to carry out that right way in the world. And everything. The Shmoyne and the Sichei Adam are people queued up in there. Nobody knows what they're really about and what they're going on, and they live in this sort of way. I say they're completely l'maylam here. Is botlet l'ambetachas abitul v'cholo. So the chiddush is that Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yankiv and Moshe Rabbeinu, they have in themselves this mila of roim, not so much the union of Seiver. Moshe Rabbeinu must have had some say because he was so unbelievable. So we say that he has a certain trait that ever in a Mayim Mishi see who he was drawn out of the Mayim, not in a normal way, but like Mayim Elyonim, many Jewish consider that. Moshe Rabbeinu was like an interesting combination. He had Pnimi and he had Makiv. We'll see that it goes into the whole thing here. But the Sichei Adam, nobody really knows what is their real story. And that's exactly what the Rebbe Kana Veisnish was be'emes did. It's been taking years and years, and we're gradually beginning to chap, whoa, now we see what he meant. Yes? There goes for another couple of days, I begin to see, another few months or so. But, when the Rebbe is giving forth, there's a lot of people saying, what does he want? Anybody really understood the Rebbe? Maybe one or two chassidim really understood the Rebbe. The Rebbe's mutter had gesagt. You don't know what she said, the Rebbe's mutter. She said, the Friedrich Rebbe had ein chassid. And she said, mein Sohn hat keine chassidim. She said, they don't understand it. Which means that he had all the chassidim. Everybody was his chassid. But it was a difficult task. That was seen, the Rebbe was just unbelievable. Kama shuaya muvan, kama all the sikhs seemed to make sense. It was all coming from Seiver Kolom, and it's all working in a mysterious way. It's all very sort of spooky, unusual. And people are going to have to chaf very soon, because the whole world is and this Manu Shipper Manuvolim, he's making a speech tonight. You know what he's going to say? He's going to say the new hero of the world is the American president. You have to do everything that he says, and he's going to make a big meeting in Madrid. He's going to bring all the Goyim together, and they're going to have a piece of paper, and they're going to say to this guy, they're going to say to him, just sign on the dotted line, man. Otherwise, just like there was no Shoya, there's not going to be any more Shoya, because we'll just blow you guys off the face of the earth. And he goes, oh no, don't do that to us, But he was man, but the Yidden, if they only wanted, they could blow them all off the face of the earth.